When I was age 11, I had a fifth grade teacher that was a total knockout, only a couple of years out of her teacher training. She used to dress in form fitting clothes and high heels on most days. So naturally, all of the boys in her class were totally in love with her. I got along with her well until one day I found out that the punishment for chewing gum in class was to spend the rest of her class under her desk. So obviously, I started chewing gum every day. When she finally made notice of this, she told me that that was too bad because today I would have to spend the afternoon under her desk and would miss the movie we had planned. After lunch, I filed in with everyone else and sat down in the corner beside the wooden footstool that was under her desk. She looked at me and smiled, sat down in her chair, and rolled up to the desk. After she slid up to the desk, she placed both of her feet on the footstool and began class. She was wearing black leather pumps today with leather soles. She wasn't wearing any stockings. I moved my head close to her feet so I could get a better look, and about that time she lifted her left foot off the platform and swung it around over her right, crossing her legs. I was still bent over at the platform, but when I tried to sit up, I found her left foot was where my head used to be. I thought to myself that she must have done that on purpose. But I was only uncomfortable for a minute or so since she got up from her desk to start the movie. I took this opportunity to slightly move her footstool and lie down near where it was in an effort to startle her. I figured that she would come back to her desk, see me there, and I could create a fuss. Just as I was happy about my plan, the lights went out and I remembered that we were seeing a movie. So that meant the room would be completely dark and she wouldn't see me. I started to get up, but she sat back down again, putting the toes of both pumps on her footrest. This effectively trapped my face just inches beneath her stiletto heels. It was pretty uncomfortable, but as long as she didn't move, I was okay. As I lay there, I did worry about getting my eyes poked out by her spike heels, but I decided that was pretty unlikely to happen. Mostly I just smelled her pumps in the dark. They reeked of dust, dirt, and leather. As my eyes got adjusted to the darkness, I could make out her super thin heels. They were now mostly on the footrest. She was twisting and tapping her toes and leaning back on her heels pretty regularly as the music played in the film. I think she probably forgot I was under the desk after a while. And I must admit, I loved getting the chance to be so intimately close to her dangerous stilettos. Then I felt something else. My hand was sticking out the bottom of her desk up to my wrist, and someone had just stepped on it and was standing there. I heard my friend Mary's voice as she asked teacher if she could go to the restroom. Mary had seen my hand and was stepping on it on purpose. She got the hall pass, rocked back on her square-heeled sandal on the back of my hand, spun on that heel and walked off. What a bitch! I was about ready to pass out from being contorted for so long when my teacher lifted both her feet off of the footrest and rolled back to get something from the table behind her. I used that opportunity to quickly adjust my position. However, when she moved back, she swung her left foot over her right to cross her legs. As soon as her legs were crossed, I again was pinned between her shoe soles and the back of her desk. Her left shoe hung in the air just in front of my face. In fact, several times over the rest of the hour, her shoe grazed against my head. Most of the times, it was the filthy bottom. But sometimes, it was the pointy tip or the smooth leather sides, which were much easier to endure. All this time, I couldn't decide if she was torturing me on purpose or if she had just forgotten I was down there. I was trapped like that for nearly 30 minutes before she changed position again, uncrossing her legs. But when the movie was over, she kicked me in the temple as she pushed her chair back. She left her desk and walked around the room to stand in front of it. I didn't think fast enough to move my hand, and she stepped right on it with the pointy toe of her pump and walked over several of my fingers. She then leaned back on her desk and talked to the class. Her stiletto heels were now right up against the bottom edge of the desk, which was raised up slightly from the floor. As she made some comments on the film, I boldly decided to lie on the floor and stick my tongue out to lick the back of her stilettos. Nobody could see me, I was sure. And what a thrill to do this while she spoke to the class. I just made sure she didn't step on my tongue with her heel, which would have been both painful and embarrassing. After a couple of minutes, the bell rang and class was dismissed. The teacher then walked around to the back of the desk as I sat straight up. She warned me not to get in trouble like this again and said I could go. As much as I had enjoyed some aspects of it, I must admit the whole experience was a fairly uncomfortable one and not nearly as fun as I had imagined. So I never spent any more time under her desk. I just worshipped her shoes from afar during the rest of the year.